Hi you guys, welcome to a brand new episode here on Feather Nest Studios, where art and magic combine to create beautiful, beautiful miniatures. If you are new here, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I am going to be taking you guys on an adventure. A chilling adventure. Get it? If you don't know, I am building the Spellman Mortuary, and it is something that I am so excited about, and I've been sitting on this project for a very long time. So just being ready to go and create, I'm all here for it. And if you did not see my last video, I basically go over how I mapped out my plan. I created the floor plan, I created the model house, and basically set myself up to have a successful project. And in today's video, I'm going to be diving into how you can create your own dollhouse walls from scratch. They look like this. And if you've seen the show, then you might have seen the original wallpaper. It has these vintage women on it that have these red lips and just faces. And so I was able, thankfully, to find the original wallpaper online. And I'm gonna show you guys how I took the little picture that they give you and I lapped it on top of each other to make basically a printable sheet that I could print out from the computer on printer paper and create the wallpaper for it. So you don't have to have anything fancy to build a dollhouse. And I think that's what I love about miniatures the most, is that they really teach you how to think outside the box and how to create things without really knowing how you're going to create them, but figuring it out. And you really don't need to spend a lot of money to do it. And so I created this wall, and I'm gonna be sharing with you guys just how I did it step by step. What up, you guys? So check it out. I got my foam boards today. And shout out to the Etsy helper who walked with me and learned all about my project and got really excited about my YouTube channel. I'm gonna put his Etsy shop below because he does these amazing gradient paintings that take him so long to do. And I wanna give him a shout out because he was so helpful. But yeah, so I got my foam board pieces and I got wooden dowels. This is basically for the support so that you can hold the higher levels without the house collapsing. So I got pine ones because this one's a little bit sturdier than like the plywood. Oh, I just got a splinter. So definitely make sure you get these to beware of splinters, or wear gloves, thick gloves, because I just got a splinter. When inspiration strikes, strikes. So we are working on it, and I'm gonna be watching Buffy the whole time as I talk you guys in a voiceover through what I'm doing. So the very, very first step in building your dollhouse is going to be to cut out the base out of your foam board. Now, I do want to let you guys know that the foam board is it's not that it's difficult to cut through, but it does dull your blade pretty fast. So I would just make sure to have extra X-Acto knives available and just be prepared to switch them out pretty frequently. But as you can see here, I'm just marking out where I'm going to be cutting. And I decided to just cut one layer first and then glue the second layer on top. And as you can see, here I am just cutting out my board. Definitely going to have some patience with yourself during this process. It is a bit tedious, but you're going to be doing the same exact process for your walls. And then as you can see, I went ahead and put some PV glue, and then I placed it on top of my second foam board. And then I made sure to put some heavy objects down to make sure that it doesn't warp. You are going to want to let your foam board dry overnight. All right, so now that we have our base ready, we can go ahead and make the walls. So basically you're gonna do the exact same thing you did for the base by gluing two separate foam boards together, but you are going to cut all of them into 9-inch strips. So as I was saying in the last video, most 12 scale doll houses are about 9 inches tall because most walls are about 9 feet tall, and 1 inch in a 12 scale dollhouse equals 1 foot in real life. So to make that simple, you basically just cut out one long strip, and then all of your walls are going to be cut from that single wall. And then on the second half, I wanted to show you guys how I'm cutting my wooden dowels, because I don't have an easy cutter or any kind of wood cutting tools, and I figured you guys might not either, and I wanted to give you guys a means to be able to cut them if you are making this along with me. And so basically what I'm doing, not the easiest route, but it is efficient, is to measure out 9 inches, right? Because all of our walls are going to be 9 inches, so you're going to need 9-inch wood pieces. And then I'm going to take my scissors, which are stuck together. Oops, I think I got some glue on them. Oopsies. I'm going to take my scissors, and all I'm doing is basically holding it here, and then I'm going to twist and turn. And this is kind of tedious. Like I said, it is a little tedious, and I'm way too low actually. Whoops. But you're basically going to keep doing that until it gets small enough. And once it's small enough, you're just going to snap it. And then it's good to have some sandpaper. Sandpaper is such a help when it comes to any crafts, so I suggest that you have it on hand no matter what. But then you'll take that sandpaper and sand down so that you have a flat side of your wood. So that is how I made my pieces. So to begin this project, I went ahead and brought out my blueprints from the last video, and that lets me know how big of pieces I need to make. And so then I went ahead and cut out the windows, and I just kind of played around with where I wanted them. And then I went ahead and glued on the wooden dowels, and I made sure to use wood glue for this just because it's very sturdy glue. And I just repeated this process for all the walls needed for this part of the project. So this is my printout of the wallpaper, and I don't know if you guys can see, but it kind of goes from like a cool tint into a yellow tint. This was an accident on the printer at Staples, but I think I actually like this because it gives it, I feel, kind of an old-timey look. And if you look at the model, this is going to be for inside this room. I don't know if you guys can tell with the other one, the other side of the wall, I wanted to do that wallpaper too as I'm putting this in so it's easier on me. So it's going to be this side, and you can see how it's like this cool foresty paper, and then at the top there's like a blue. Well, I couldn't find that exact paper, so I made my own. I'm going to show you guys how I made this in just a second. But as you can see, this is what I came up with instead. I really like it though. I feel like it gives it the same kind of color. So we will see how it goes. All right, you guys, so I'm going to be showing you a clip from my phone. I did a screen recording basically to explain how I made my wallpaper. So I'm in an app, I believe is called GoDaddy Studios. GoDaddy purchased it from Over, and they're just what I use, but you could probably do this on any type of photo editing app. But basically, I found 2 images that I thought looked similar to Sabrina, the wallpaper on the left, and I just overlaid them. And there's like this little button, it said blend, and then I scrolled that over to lighten, and it gave me this image. So this is basically what I'm using to make all the wallpaper, and so far it seems to be working, but I just printed that out, and that's how I got my wallpaper. Once you have figured out what type of wallpaper you want to use for your project, your next step is going to be to figure out how to lay down your wallpaper without creating a wave in it. So if you just put regular glue on your foam board, you are going to have bumps every single place where the paper and the glue meet. And so in order to basically fix this, I learned a trick from a commenter on another YouTube video, and I don't know who it was who left the comment, but it really impacted me because I use this method from here on out. And that is basically taking glue, predominantly glue and water, and then brushing it onto your miniature. This just allows a thin layer that is very cohesive all the way across. And the most important thing about this process is to place a heavy object and to be patient while you wait for it to dry. This can be the difference in having a massive bubble under your project or not. Another thing that I do later on, and this was actually a new thing that I learned from doing it in this project, was I put a layer of Mod Podge over my wallpaper. And I found that that actually got out any remaining wrinkles, and it also hardened my wallpaper. So now I'm not worried about accidentally scratching it or something happening to the wallpaper that lifts it up. So I would highly, highly recommend that you cover it with maybe a matte Mod Podge after you are done. But of course, that is completely up to you. Anything to just protect your project is always, always, always recommended. So now it's finally time to begin the wooden panels on the dollhouse walls. And I was really excited about this. I think it's really fun to create fake wood. I find it just to be fun when it comes to painting and cutting and all the things. But basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting out a piece of chipboard from some type of recycled box, and I'm cutting it out to fit the bottom part of my wall. I'm making mine about 3 inches tall, and I'm measuring it out according to what the wall pieces are. Then next, I'm making these little strips as you see me cutting them right now. These are basically going to be the strips between each panel. So you're really going to need 3 different pieces for this. You're going to need the overall piece that goes on the bottom, the square piece that goes in the center, and then the strips of paper that go on the sides between the panels. And this just really gives it extra depth. It doesn't have to be exactly like this. You can really play around with this and make it your own. So if you have a laser cutter, you can print out really cool designs, or you can even cut out designs. It's really up to you. Another thing I just want to mention is that I did double up on the chipboards, and that was just to make sure there was enough depth so you can actually see the details. I definitely bring out the details more in the paint, and I'll show you that in a second. But once I had the design that I liked, I just repeated the process on all the walls and let that dry before I started to paint. So now to continue your project, you're just going to want to paint the whole thing brown. The only colors you're actually going to need for this part are brown, black, and white, which keeps it really simple and very cost efficient. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm putting black into all the crevices so I can deepen those shadows. And then I'm putting the white on all the areas that I want to highlight and pop out. So really it just takes a lot of practice and playing around with it to see what it is that you like and how you want your project to look. But really, if you just stick to this simple process, it does a fantastic job of getting the point across. And then when you're finished with the whole thing, that's when you're going to want to cover the entire thing with Mod Podge. Like I said, Mod Podge helps just protect your project, and it also gets out any wrinkles that you don't want to show. I will say to make sure that it's dry before you do this, otherwise it could spread your paint into areas that you don't want. Basically, this just helps keep the project safe from any outside forces that could possibly chip your paint. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. Make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this. It is a completely free way to help out my channel and to just help get me going because we are a new channel and I'm definitely trying to gather as many miniature enthusiasts as possible. And then also I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys really liked about this video. If you like the water glue method, if that works for you, or if you have any suggestions on how to prevent warping in your projects. Because as a miniaturist, I think we all know that warping is our arch nemesis. And there's always new tricks and tips to learn from you guys as well. So I would love to hear your feedback. And in next week's video, we are going to be going over dollhouse flooring, and we are going to be making it yet again out of everyday items that you can find in your craft store for the most cost-efficient way of creating a dollhouse. So I would love, love, love to have you guys back for next week. And until then, happy crafting!